All right, so we are starting chapter 4. This is the first video. This chapter is metabolism, cellular metabolism. In this video, we're going to look at the basics of it, looking at anabolism and catabolism. Now, first of all, cellular metabolism. I'm down here starting on this part. Remember that metabolism we looked at in an earlier chapter. Metabolism by definition is just the sum of all the chemical reactions in the body. And so cellular metabolism is the sum of all the chemical reactions in a particular cell. Now, these are all about energy. It is all about forming chemical bonds to store energy, moving them where they need to go, breaking those chemical bonds, and releasing energy. All right, so what we're going to find is, in another video, we'll look even closer at these things called enzymes. They are proteins that our body makes in order to cause these chemical processes to happen. And so, the end of this chapter, we will look at proteins, how DNA makes proteins, because that is what enzymes are. Now, I've mentioned this before to our class that there are two types of reactions: anabolic reactions, or anabolism, or where we take larger molecules, or we make larger molecules from smaller ones. It requires energy. Now, in a previous chapter, we called these synthesis reactions. On the other hand, catabolic reactions, or catabolism, is when we take the larger molecules and break them down. Again, we call these decomposition reaction, and these release energy. So one of them absorbs energy, the other one releases it. Now, most of the reactions in our body are reversible. We talked about how A plus B, and forgive me, I'm having to use my mouse for this. A plus B equals AB, and so this going this way is called an anabolic reaction, but most reactions are reversible, or a lot of them. And so if we go this way, now this is a catabolic reaction. Now, as I said, when I'm breaking down larger molecules, again, catabolic, into smaller molecules, there is a release of energy. Now, most energy is going to be released as heat. Now remember, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. That's the first law of thermodynamics. It's the bedrock of all physics and science. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes phases. Now, our body will use chemical energy in these little chemical bonds, but when they're doing this, understand that majority of the energy is going to be lost as heat. This is why if you're cold, your body will send a signal out to the small muscles called erector pili muscles that attach to your hair and cause it to stand on end. We call it goosebumps or chill bumps. And what it's trying to do is, in the contraction of those muscles, there is heat that's released. And if it doesn't work to warm you up, then your body sends signals out to larger muscles and you start shivering. But anyway, it is why our body is generally, if we all understand 98.6 is our normal body temperature, and most people are going to have a normal house temperature that's probably about 75 or below, or roughly around there. We can see that our body is going to be about 20 degrees above our surroundings most of the time, and it's because of the constant metabolism going on and the release of that energy. Now, anabolism, the building of molecules, is going to be done by what is called dehydration synthesis. Now, back in chapter 2, when we were looking at chemistry and we studied pH, remember I said pH is all about the concentration of hydrogen ions. If you ever forget about it, just understand that it's a 2-letter word and the second letter is the capital, so that should give you a big signal. But pH in general is really about the balance of water. We have hydrogen and then we have hydroxyl, right? So if we have a ionized substance that the electrolytes that are released are hydrogen, we call those acid. If they are hydroxyl, that is a base. If it is right in the middle, we call that water, and that's happy. All right, so in order to build things up, what we do is we're going to remove the hydrogen from one molecule and the hydroxyl from another, form water, and in the place of that, the two molecules will bind to each other. So in this, we're going to have, and I don't like the way they draw it, so I'm going to, even though my drawing's not going to be as good, I don't like the way they present it. We'll say there's a hydrogen over here on A, and B is going to have a hydroxyl. Now, both of them actually have hydroxyls, I'll just tell you, but it's just the hydrogen on this I'm worried about. So these two will join and leave, and that forms water. And so in removing water, I am going to produce a molecule called terrible B. And where that bond joins is where these two were. And so I am removing water, dehydration, to form something, to create something, synthesis. Synthesis means to create, dehydration means without water. I'm creating something by removing water. And now the next couple of examples are going to talk about how simple sugars bind together to form a disaccharide, and again, going through the different parts of it. So we make polysaccharides, multiple simple sugars bound together by dehydration synthesis. We form triglycerides by dehydration synthesis. We remove water from the 3 fatty acids to make it bind with glycerol. We remove water from amino acids to form a dipeptide. We continue to do it and form a polypeptide until you have a what we call a protein. And then nucleotides are also joined by dehydration synthesis to form nucleic acids. This is kind of showing you what I was trying to say. You know, both sides are going to have an OH, but it's just we remove the oxygen on one and the OH on the other to form this water. And now we're going to see that this is a reversible reaction, and that means that there's a time when I'll take water and I will jam water into this little spot here, and that's going to break the bond, and I'll end up with 2 of these smaller molecules, and we call that catabolism. And these are the different ones on the catabolism. In catabolism, the act of pushing that hydrogen into that bond to break it is called hydrolysis. Now I'm mispronouncing that, it's hydrolysis, but hydrolysis. Lysis means to cut apart, hydro means with water. And so I'm going to take water and put it into the bond and break it. So again, if I have AB, all right, so that is one molecule. I'll draw it down here, AB. And now I'm going to go this way and break it down into A plus B. Now what I do is I take water, H2O, and I'm going to push it in here. Now one side's going to get the hydrogen. It breaks the bond. One side gets the hydrogen. The other side gets the hydroxyl. Whoop, that was bad. But anyway, you know what I'm saying here. So this is how we break things down. So anabolism, building up, is done by dehydration synthesis. The word literally means building by removing water. In order to break things down, catabolism, we do it by hydrolysis, hydrolysis, which again, the word literally means breaking down using water. And so I hope those make sense. It's pretty basic. But again, you'll see that it's an important idea to get to understand. And what we're going to look at in some future videos is that it is, and for this chapter is, we can't do this without this being held in place either way. And it's going to be an enzyme that's going to do that in order to make this happen. And that's how our body controls these reactions. So anyway, that is the first video, just the foundation of it, the basics of anabolism and catabolism, and I hope this all makes sense. Take care and have a great day.